Hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? I'm back. It's a little bit late today, but I thought I should come in anyway and give you a few updates before the end of the night. I had a very, very busy day today, but I think we should be able to get a few things in before the night is here. Congratulations to our own Dr. Lina Zedriga, President in place of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We're happy to hear that he's safe and he's out of the country, out of danger, out of Museveni's fangs. We've seen some interviews where he has come out saying that as soon as when you hear or watch this video, it'll mean that I've left the country. And indeed, our president is safe and is out of Uganda right now. He left yesterday, which was the March 16th. Was it yesterday? I think yesterday. But he's safe. He's doing well. He's had some interviews. You've seen an interview from BBC about his reason for leaving Uganda. I know that they won't admit because there are lobbyists that Museveni has all over the world, including the UK. Even if they say they try to brand it as him running away from Uganda or fleeing like Idi Amin or Obote did, His Excellency has left Uganda to come and tend to issues or matters foreign but involving Uganda. So he's temporarily out of the country, but is going back to be there and perform his duties as president-elect of Uganda. Okay? Many things have happened. I'm going to bring about some factors, some things that happened while he was still in the country and about Museveni's plans, and then we'll catch up on what's new that has been building on from there. Okay? One of the main things that Museveni had at hand was that he was sure to catch Bobi Wine, or His Excellency, by Thursday of last week. That's why you saw so many roadblocks all over Kampala in different places. It's because they had fake intelligence that this time or that by that Thursday, they would capture His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Hello, yes, Dr. Lina Mama. She's now the president of National Unity Platform, because you know that the president, Central Region, is in jail. And we just had our other president of Western Region freed recently from prison. So congratulations, Mama Lina Zedriga. We're happy to have you, happy to be with you while our president is out of the country to tend to matters that concern issues abroad. So some of the things that have happened was, like I was saying, Museveni was assured that he would capture Bobi Wine because he was given fake intelligence. Museveni has used from his military, his police, a lot of investment into equipment that are, work intellectually to try to catch him. He has used all kinds of jammers. He has employed a lot of foreign expatriates who have access to data, who can use data, who can try to figure out by association where he is. AI is now in place, all kinds of things so that he can capture him. But unfortunately, Museveni has failed. And obviously, this is a new generation. We have a way, we have our gifts that were given to us for our generation that will serve us, and not the Museveni's generations. Whatever he believes in, he can't use toward us because we're a different breed and use different knowledge and gifts that were given to us. So anyway, among the things that he had planned, Museveni was to capture His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu by all means and get him to him, have his soldiers capture Kyagulanyi and take him to him. And among his plans were that he wanted to be able to destroy or to amputate His Excellency Kyagulanyi's legs to cause him something in the Constitution that does not allow for an incapacitated human being to be eligible to run for president or be president of a country. And so among his several things, he was relying on the fact that he could cause some issues physically to the president, to Bobby Wine, so that he's not eligible to run in 2031. You know, these guys are planning for years ahead. You know, they're thinking 2031. They didn't even swear in yet. Nobody is a sworn-in president yet. But Museveni and his people, this is how come they captured Uganda for many, many years to come, from the time that they started to see themselves as existing in Uganda and owning Uganda. They have cast their web so far because they planned ahead. So this, in his plans, they're already looking to 2031, even though there's not a sworn-in president yet. Okay, so Museveni plans on, you know, as I mentioned, he had so many different ways to try to catch him, including witch doctors. Apparently, there's one who came from Congo, who he brought in. Apparently, was told that he's a super expert and would make sure he'd find His Excellency Kyagulanyi, which he tried, and that didn't work. So there were plans, you know, the Damulira group, who are the ghetto structures by Damulira. Those groups of people were to be used to, you know, perform different criminal activities in Kampala, which they had already started doing, but none of them was really taken seriously or recorded or talked about by the police, because they're trying to accrue several different cases that they can use to pile on him and try to catch him on different avenues, on different crimes to be filed against him. They have planned on several districts, had already, for example, the lady Lakea Gloria from Gulu High Court, the one who has been arrested, I think a week ago. It is claimed that she took a picture of an arrest case, of a case that has been filed in Gulu courts on His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So the plan was that to have several cases filed in different places. If you remember some of my videos before, I talked about His Honorable Okello Oryem being used to compile several cases, have them filed in different courts and different districts in Uganda, so that when they capture Bobby Wine, besides going from court to court to court, there will be lots of other crimes registered associating him to those crimes, even if he was not present. So they took effort to have these other groups of the Damuliras to start committing those crimes, have them filed, awaiting to attach his name or append his name to those crimes and make it even juicier. So, you know, in all efforts that Museveni makes, he doesn't understand that God has other plans for Uganda, that God has other plans for His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So no matter what he did or everything that he has planned, it has all fallen on deaf ears. It has not worked because our president was able to get away. The charges that were to be filed were supposed to be filed in different regional courts against him, and in 19 districts, to be precise. 19 districts would have a case against His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. Cases like aggravated robbery, rape, blocking roads, attacking the police, especially gathered from his speeches. You know, times when His Excellency stopped or made his speeches or was banned from going into certain places, he stopped and made certain speeches. And so they want to use some of those, like, for example, when he was in Gulu, he mentioned, you know, the deaths of the Acholi leaders whose deaths have not been explained. We can't tell who killed who or what happened to who. There's really no clear history. Like Lokech, for example, we don't know surely. I know what I found out that happened to him and how he was killed. It stemmed from coming from Sudan, from Somalia, and Faith, the woman, General Faith or somebody, the Kinyarwanda lady who's called Faith. That is the reason why General Lokech was killed, because General Lokech said something about him being the next president of Uganda and Faith being a first lady. And so she took it right back to Museveni and that was enough to kill Lokech. But there are other killings, like the speaker, former speaker, you know, that is not explained. Several other, Ochara, Walter Ochara, you know, people just, all of a sudden they're powerful, all of a sudden they're gone. No explanation, no details, nothing. So some of the speeches like those that he used, for example, he was in Gulu when they stopped him from getting away. That brief speech has been used to file a case against him in Gulu to try to incriminate him for the statements that he made. In different places, he said things such as, you know, Ugandans, let's come up, let's stand up, let's rise up. They're going to use that as him trying to get people together to rally up to, as you saw in the BBC interview, where they said that he said, and the Musevenis were afraid that he was going to get people to rise up against the government, to try to overthrow the government. So that is their interpretation, which is wrong, but they wanted to easily use it to incriminate His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. So the cases were to be filed, including those that were committed already by the ghetto structures, those structures that are by Damulira and Kaihura behind it, obviously. The issue of Egali, which he uses as a statement, it is a metaphor to say, prepare yourselves, or get equipped, or get knowledge of, or get skilled with, which is a metaphor to mean be ready for what happens, because they're going to steal the election. You know, Kyagulanyi saw this way ahead. He knew that this was coming. So Egali, which I know very well because I speak some Luganda, it means preparing yourself, even if it means educating yourself about arming yourself with the Constitution and the laws of the land and everything that benefits us to try to get ahead. The Museveni interpretation, because all he thinks about is the power of the gun, okay, and the power of force, physical force. He interprets it as a metaphor that Bobby Wine uses to make his group or the Nupe or change supporters violent. That is not what Egali means, but Museveni wants to use that against His Excellency, okay? So by Thursday, he thought he was going to do that, but that didn't work. And he's trying to divert the media, and he has invited bloggers and asked them to try to use to talk about, you know, to try to talk about different issues instead of focusing on the roadblocks and the things that Museveni is putting in place to catch His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He also increased the ransom to $1 billion for whoever knows any whereabouts. Apparently, there are several Nupe leaders who are secretly working with Museveni. Several. And in the next few days, you may hear about their names, or they may come out and act differently, or they may look more interested in Museveni than would be Nupe, or the party itself. Apparently, a few, maybe up to three family members of His Excellency have accepted some sort of bribe from Museveni to be able to offer where he is, and also to work alongside Museveni more than their own son or brother or relative. So the names will come out, but several Nupe members or executives, several, and other members are working secretly with the Museveni camp. We will come to find out what their names are, but in the meantime, that's a fact. So be careful. If you're a member of the Nupe and you are a true member, remember that now we have Her Excellency Lina Zadriga, who does not play around and was able to fire people who are inappropriate, like the Mpugas. I think Mpuga left because Lina was involved at the time. She was president, and she does not take prisoners. So be watchful, stay true, stay to yourself. If you are suspicious of another leader doing certain things or crossing over, just be mindful and stay on the right side, because soon, as always, they come out. Okay? So the ransom amount, as I mentioned, has increased. to about $1 billion from Museveni to try to catch His Excellency. But now that he's out of the country, you know, too bad. And Museveni is very upset with the people who he set in place to work, to do certain things, like the police officers who are the leaders in the areas where they were sent to set up roadblocks, or people who work for immigrations, the other members of the military forces who were set aside to focus on the mission to try to catch His Excellency, the SFCs and all of those. They're answerable right now. He has taken some of them into custody. Some of them have been remanded. A lot of them are under punishment, and some have fled. And so thankfully, some of them are crossing over to the new party and are ready to speak, which is really, really good. But many of whom Museveni sent to go and do this mission as to capture His Excellency are in big, big trouble. Major reshuffles are coming up in the police and the military. Obviously, immigrations, as you know, Kainerugaba had mentioned trying to bring in people who are more accepting to admitting Rwandese and giving them documentation in Uganda. So in the meantime, be watchful for, you know, change. A lot of SFCs from Rwanda are being put in the military by force and police forces. So Ugandan military and Ugandan police force, you don't have to work for this man, and you don't have to perform all the dirty jobs, because eventually your names are public, and those people's names are not anywhere, because they even wear the wrong badges. They wear the wrong names on them, so they're not identified. So if you're a pure Ugandan military or policeman, stay away from the criminal activity of these people, because you will be the one to be punished, and they won't punish their own people. Okay? So as the robberies were planned by the ghetto structures, Museveni had planned to have them, you know, commit all these crimes on CCTV, have them recorded correctly, have them used, and after His Excellency is captured, which according to him was that he would capture him, they would bring him to him, and what he first of all would like to do, which when I mention this, it doesn't mean that the plans have stopped because His Excellency got away. It doesn't mean that. It just means that we would be more careful and be vigilant, or have the president more prepared for what they presume they could do for him or do to him. So they would take him, and Museveni plans to, like I said, amputate him without any anesthesia. Okay, which is crazy, but these people do these things every day. And then they would set up some sort of raid where His Excellency would be in the same home, and then they would act as if that accident occurred at the time of that raid. He also plans to introduce a law which he wanted to use his disability under the law, that he would not be able to be eligible to run for president because of the circumstances of being unable to walk or perform his duties legibly. So they're looking at 2031. We should, even if we're still trying to get our 2026 win, you know, we have to think ahead as Ugandans for a better country. We have to make every effort to try to get these people out of the presidency, the leadership of Uganda, to clean up, which is a lot of work for His Excellency in the future to come, because so much has been destroyed, so much has been lost in Uganda, and we have a lot of work to do. Eventually, the end goal for Museveni is to end NUP and National Unity Platform altogether from Uganda, and also every form of opposition would be over, according to them. This doesn't mean that they're going to be successful, but this just lets you know that according to them, they think that is what they would do, they would want to do. I was reading a comment, sorry. So Museveni has known that mission so far is not going to move forward, and so he's very upset about that. Others say that it is potentially possible that they may even get rid of Muhoozi Kainerugaba because of so much that he has done in his tweets and his messages and all these things that have brought the government down. But like I said, being the first child or being the child of the president, they feel too privileged, too powerful. And that's what, like similar governments that have gone through this, it eventually it leads to the downfall of whoever the dictator is. So Museveni is well underway to lose this whole thing, and he knows it, and he's very aware of it, and that's why he tries by every means to try to make sure that he takes care of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, which is not going to happen. So he's gotten out. He's in. I couldn't say where he is right now because it's probably not the best thing to talk about and get out there, but he's free and he's doing well and he's doing what he should do abroad. Museveni has labeled Bobi Wine a global mistake because he has exposed everything about him, all his evils, everything Museveni has done. And so they feel like they've lost in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Rwanda, and in South Sudan recently. That's the last loss that they've made, because since South Sudan came public and since the West has brought about the facts of what's going on in South Sudan, he feels like he's losing on that front as well. Central African Republic is another place that they feel like they've lost. And so, you know, everything else may have felt like was set in place and that they were succeeding. But I can assure you that State House feels like the presidency is gone. So keep on what you're doing, do whatever you're doing, continue with it. You know, us being abroad, that we can speak, you know, because a lot of people back home can't. Continue speaking, continue fighting, continue doing what's good, what can help bring about the change that we need in Uganda. Okay? Moving on. Museveni is very upset with the people who he sent to perform these missions to try to catch His Excellency. He's very upset, and he said he's going to call them individually and deal with them. I understand everyone is very scared in State House right now. They're suspicious of each one. Museveni's staying by himself or sitting alone or going to his cows and not engaging people who work in State House. In fact, they've broken shifts to people working 2 days a week, just so that they're not having shifts overlapping with the same people or different people coming in and out and sharing information. Museveni wants to catch who is sharing all this information and letting out this much out there. Okay? So, in summary, the cases, what they were trying to do with His Excellency was that they'd file 19 cases on him. They would amputate him. They would take him to courts, different courts daily, and try to get him too busy and making statements in different courts without having him get bail. They would release him and rearrest him, or release and rearrest the other NUP members or the executives of the NUP party. They would also they will stop His Excellency eventually from running for office, which is their main goal. But of course, that's not going to happen because they didn't succeed. Okay? Moving on to the next thing. Museveni has ordered that they arrest the people that went to take His Excellency's assistant, Don Sheriff, because he feels like what they went to do was supposed to be the right way, the right thing, but they should have turned off the cameras. So he feels like these people are working against him, which is a normal feeling right now, because everything that he does or everything that people are doing is ending up in favor of Bobi Wine. So he has ordered that the commander who was assigned the activity of arresting Don Sheriff on CCTV be arrested and taken, because he's working as an enemy to him at this point. Museveni's family and the daughters, the wife, and whoever used to live in State House or lives close by, they now spend nights in Tanzania. They're not staying in Uganda for their nights, just like Kagame doesn't spend nights in Rwanda anymore. Sorry, hold on one second. So just like Kagame spends nights in Uganda with Salim Saleh and all of them, the same thing is happening with the Museveni family. They're going to spend their nights in Tanzania daily because they're afraid of what could come as a surprise to them. They know that at any point in time, something is going to get them, okay? With watching everything that's going on in the world and Kagame being sanctioned left and right, he feels like this is coming on to him too. So he's afraid of that. Okay. Janet is in poor health. Apparently with everything that's going on, all of the information that's being leaked, she's getting more critical. As you know, they're much, much older than we actually know. Their health is not in great shape, but they're sticking to it. They're trying to, yes, free Don Sheriff's wife. You're right. Thank you, Shakira. Both of them are in really poor health. And that's one of the things that, Museveni thinks that he should try to debilitate His Excellency because he thinks that it'll make them equal or make him feel more powerful or more strong, by making His Excellency, debilitated somehow. Janet's legs are getting worse with cancer, and Museveni plans to declare Uganda like a North Korean rule. So if you see the way people in North Korea live, it is exactly what Museveni is trying to implement in Uganda. He has decided now that he's going to move forward with that plan because he feels like people are better controlled when he keeps them poor and keeps all access to activities or things that benefit citizens away from them. So he's working closely with the North Korean people to try at president, because they're good friends, they're both dictators, so that he can implement exactly what he does in his country for him to rule for so many years, so he can implement it and do it in Uganda as well. So hopefully that does not come to fruition, but with people who could care less about others, it is possible that he can do that. He can try to do that. Museveni has very bad plans for Kasese district. He plans on causing some major atrocity. I've heard he's probably going to do a terrorist act. He's probably going to do a bombing there, and is going to cause insecurity and criminality in that region, because Kasese borders that side of Congo where he has normally blamed ADF for something happening in Kasese. He will easily say it was the ADF. He wants to see a way of getting money from the Western world, because a lot of times they've considered Museveni a peacekeeper in the region. So if anything broke off or any war or anything like that, those people, the Western world, instead of getting involved, they would just dish money to him and have him deal with those wars. And yet all those times, those wars were engineered by Museveni. ADF is Museveni's militia, and so is M23. So he's now planning something major for Kasese. Okay? Kasese region. If you live in that region, be mindful. If you do remember the big attack on the school at the border of Kasese that killed a lot of children, it's going to be bigger than that, and they say that. Okay? The NTV sale was fake. The real owner of NTV is actually Museveni. That thing that was in the media about a gentleman from Tanzania coming to buy off the network, it never happened. It did happen physically, just to make pretense of what exactly happened. So that gentleman is Museveni's proxy to own MTV. So NTV was not bought by the Tanzanian fellow from the what is that group? The business group that had it, the one from Kenya. I forget what the name is. But that was not a buy-off or a trade-off. It actually is something where Museveni simply changed proxy. So the same control will apply, maybe even stiffer control by State House on what comes out onto the media. There's going to be a lot of fake news that is going to come out that will not benefit the citizens. Obviously will just hoodwink everyone to think everything is normal and okay in the country, but no. Okay. Now that our president is out here in the diaspora, we are gearing up efforts to continue with the support. In fact, do even more. We're trying to rally to get more people out to peacefully protest, share information, fundraise, do whatever we can so we can help move things forward. There's going to be a lot and lots of interviews. So educate, share as much as possible, share facts. You know, whatever is happening out there at home that you can share with us so we can get it to the right place, please send them on. Okay. What else do I have to share? I think that's all I have got for today. I will be coming back tomorrow. Obviously, it's gotten a little dark out here, but I'll bring back some more to share with you tomorrow. I hope you're going to have a great day. Good night and good evening or good morning in Uganda. I love you all so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Love you and leave you. Bye-bye.